You just tuned into the Invisible Ladder podcast. I'm your host, Realtalk Ben, and this is my story, How Divorce Made Me Rich.
Ooh, how divorce made me rich. That sounds really juicy. I'm super excited to host this interview with you, so let's get right into it.
Okay. Yeah, before we get into it, though, I want to make a quick disclaimer. This podcast in particular is not to shade anyone, to bash any men or women. It's simply to serve my purpose, which is to inspire, enlighten, motivate, uplift individuals from a positive perspective. And I can only do that by sharing my personal experiences. I also want to do this podcast in the hopes that it could potentially heal a relationship, breakup, or marriage.
All right, that sounds amazing. So let's get right into it. Let's start from the beginning. So, as you just stated, this title is crazy. How divorce made me rich. Let's get into it. So, first off, how long have you been married?
Well, I was married for 2 years and we were together for 13.
Okay, so you said was married. But at some point, clearly it led to that big D word that we talking about. So how long into the marriage did it get to that you started to know that, okay, this might really end in a divorce?
I don't really have a answer for that because I never looked to get divorced. I mean, that's the honest. For better, for worse, forever meant forever for me. So I never. It was a shocking thing to actually go through the divorce.
Okay. So do you want to give any details about what led to the divorce?
So it was infidelity on my end, and you can check out the story in one of my previous posts. No shirt, I pretty much talked about it.
Okay. So you did drop a big word. You dropped that word. You said infidelity. So, obviously, AKA, you cheated. She found out. Where were you at that point of your life?
Um, where was I at that point in my life? I mean, I guess I felt like I wasn't getting everything that I needed, obviously. So as a man, we think logical. This is the problem. Here's the solution. I made a bad decision.
Okay, so bad decision. And fast forward, did you go through a separation period or she just was done? She's like, nope, you cheated, I'm out, I want a divorce. Or did you work on it?
So we tried to work on it. We went to counseling. That didn't work out, and she needed space. I moved out, got my own place, and we were in separation for a year.
Okay, so you were in separation for a year. So during that separation, clearly after you move out, that's a big step. Did you still try to work on it or did you begin dating?
Absolutely. The whole time that I had moved out, I had hopes that everything would work out. That maybe she just needed space. I was just kind of in the unknown place. So I really didn't do much. I was in the hopes that eventually she would come back around and we would work things out.
So it sounds like you were really remorseful
Absolutely.
about your decision. Um, and you said counseling, that's big.
Yeah.
And then you tried the separation and you were still fighting once you moved out.
Right.
And when you started to realize, okay, my efforts aren't being noticed, what did you do? What was the next steps for you?
So the next step was after the separation, we had one final conversation. And, I just want to paint the picture. Imagine, being with somebody, for 13 years, traveling various countries, building a home together, pretty much living a life to getting to a point where one day you can no longer talk to this person again. It was devastating. It was a shock. It was the most painful and hardest thing that I ever had to deal with.
I can imagine that's a long time to see somebody every day and have them a part of your life. How old were you when you got married?
We were about 28.
Okay, so y'all were young.
28. I met her when I was 18.
Okay, so like high school sweethearts type of
Yeah,
thing.
right after high school.
Grew up together.
Right.
And then to end it the way that ended, like you said, it was like a death. That's big.
Yeah. It's like a person literally dying. You no longer have any contact with the person.
So moving forward, because I'm sure divorce for anybody is really, really hard. So moving forward, you had to start to find some type of light, to find yourself in this. So that dark space of fighting to get back with your ex-wife, and when you started to notice that that wasn't happening, at what point did things start to change for you?
So as a man, we're taught to be tough, get over it, move on. After the separation and the divorce, I wound up getting into another relationship, and
Hold up. Hold up. Okay. How long after your divorce did you get into another relationship?
well, honestly, it's like a couple months.
Wow. Well, hold on. Let me give you a little bit of slack because you did go through a separation phase first, then the divorce. So it was a good couple. It
It
was a
was a,
good
it
at
was a
least
year. It was a year.
okay
It
in
was a year.
total. Okay. So you dated. And how did that feel being back into the dating scene after a marriage?
It was actually weird because when you with a person for so long and you haven't been on the market or been in the marketplace of dating, it's just a weird thing. You gotta kind of, I guess, find your swag or get back into the groove of like meeting people. So it was a difficult thing, but I did it.
Okay. So you're dating. Did that work out?
So the thing is, no, it didn't work out. What I realize is a lot of people think they're gonna leave one situation and then jump right into another situation, and what happens is you still have trauma. You still have childhood trauma, and you still have trauma from the pain and hurt that you went through from the divorce. So you end up potentially sabotaging that situation, or you end up attracting people that radiate that same negative energy, if you will.
I understand that. So for anyone who might be in your same position, would you say a year after a divorce is too soon to date, or is it really no time? Is it based on healing?
I would say it's really no time. It's really based on healing. A lot of times people get involved in relationships, marriage, and they still have trauma from childhood that they haven't got over. Maybe your dad wasn't in your life. Maybe your mom wasn't in your life. Something happened to you when you was younger, and you could be with a person for 10 years, and then these things start to be displayed in a relationship, and they don't have anything to do with the other person, but it's that unhealingness from childhood.
Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it 100. It just sounds like pretty much the relationship after your divorce and was a little toxic.
Right.
Okay, so fast forwarding it, you had clearly dealt with a lot of emotional stress. Now, this specifically is called Divorce Made Me Rich. So let's get into that. So let's fast forward to when I guess you used your pain to motivate you. Let's talk about that.
So, how divorce made me rich was even after my divorce, I continued to go to counseling because I didn't want to be in that continuous cycle of unhealed, being unhealed, not healing those past childhood traumas. I didn't want to be in a continuous cycle of attracting the wrong people from the pain and trauma that I went through from the divorce. So I wanted to become the best version of myself, but for my future person. So it made me rich in wisdom because I found a lot of information and self personal development. I went through a lot of self personal development books. I found Corey Wayne, How to Be a 3% Man. Only 3% of men really understand women. You know, I I grew financially. I literally doubled my income after my divorce because I used that pain to focus on leveling up. I got more physically fit. So it made me rich in a lot of ways, not just financially. It made me rich in wisdom, knowledge, you know, physique, those type of things.
Okay. So people typically take their pain and you can either grow from it or you can be stuck. So it sounds like you took your pain and you really took that and said, okay, you know what? I'm about to turn myself into the best version that I can be.
Right.
So if someone wants to do that, but the pain is so unbearable, how do you get, well, you did say that you did, therapy. And outside of that, for people, a lot of people don't look into therapy, especially black people, let's be real. So, how important is therapy to becoming a better version?
I think it's extremely, extremely important. Like I said, a lot of men especially think, oh, I'm weak. I don't need to talk to a counselor, and they bottle up all of these emotions and trauma because they don't have anyone to talk to. A lot of times people go to their aunts, their uncles, their mother, their father, sister, brother, friends for advice. And these people, number one, are judgmental. They say things like, "Oh, I know where you've been." It's different. It's different for everybody. They're biased. When you go to a therapist, they're non-biased, non-judgmental, and they help you throughout that entire process. That's the difference. So I think it's very important that people seek professional guidance and counseling.
I agree with that. And especially one thing that you said, being a 3% man, you gotta think different. You gotta move different. So it sounds like that's what you did. You took steps, like you said, your physical, your mental, and your emotional, and what? And
Financial,
financially.
but most importantly, my relationship with God became a lot. I became a lot closer with God.
Yes. So when did everything start painting a picture for you that made you feel like I'm that guy? Do you feel
I'm a
like
very,
I'm that
I'm a,
guy?
I'm a, I'm a very humble person. But one of the things that I learned throughout this entire journey and process was that money doesn't define me. The the things that are intangible is what give you self-worth. A lot of people think that having money or having a car, having clothes, all these type of things define who you are as a person. And what I learned through going to counseling is that none of those things represent my self-worth or my value. And the minute that I realized that, I started to move with purpose.
That sounds amazing. So, canceling was just one part of it. You also read a lot of books.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I came across a lot of guys. Obviously, I wanted to become better, not just financially, but I wanted to become better in my relationship life because I didn't want to be in that continuous cycle. And there's a lack of understanding, especially today when it comes to women and men. You go online, they talking about this guy ain't do this woman ain't do that. It's women literally versus men right now. The
Facts.
internet is just super toxic. So I wanted to truly understand women, especially black women, why they are the way they are. You know what I mean? So I found Steph. I found what's his name? FitX Fearless. I found Corey Wayne, Coach Lee, all of these guys. I can't even think of the other guys. Steven Speaks. I found these guys and I really wanted to understand women, the psychology of women, because that makes for a better relationship.
So, a goal of yours, it sounds like you like being in relationships. Is that true? Or you rather be single?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a relationship type of guy. I will say this. Genesis 2:18 talks about how God looked at the world and he said, good, 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 not good. And then he looked at Adam and he said, not good, because Adam was alone. So he created woman. He said he would create a sustainable woman as his helper. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, men don't need women, women don't need men, but who wants to be without a man? Who wants to be without a woman? There are things that men can do that women can't do,
Well,
and
I feel like we do need each other.
we do.
We
Yeah,
actually do,
we
but
do.
today they're making us feel like we don't.
We do. No, we absolutely need each other, and then the internet is just so crazy because you hear guys say things like, "Oh, she not being submissive. She not doing this. She not doing that." Well, the reason she's not is because you haven't become the man that you needed to be. God said you go out into the world, you build a foundation, you are able to sustain yourself, and He will give you a sustainable helper, meaning the perfect person for you.
That's real. And I also hear a lot of people say the best time for a man to even find a woman is when he is at his best self.
Right,
But these men out here don't even be at their best self, but want the top of the line type of woman.
right,
It's wild. So I really find it intriguing when a man actually works on themselves and try to understand a woman because that's what he ultimately wants.
right. It's one of the other books. It was Superior Man by David Deidre. Talks about the polarity of masculine and feminine energy. And when a man is in his full masculine essence, he allows his woman to be in her full femininity. All the stuff that dudes complain about, if he is fully masculine, he's not gonna have to ask her to do those things. She's just gonna do it because he's radiating, he's creating that polarity of balance in a relationship. And notice the word said helper. I think in society we forgot roles. And I
Yes.
say that, I want to break that down because I know somebody going to jump in the comments, whatever. It says helper,
Yes.
right?
What that
So
mean to
it
you?
means that as a man, you're leading the whole situation, right? And when you rise and become what God wanted you to be, He's going to give you the perfect helper. Helper meaning to assist, meaning the woman is going to help that man become a better, even better version of himself. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't have that balance in a relationship, then obviously she's going to take on more of a masculine energy, and neither parties are going to get what it is that they desire in a relationship.
Okay, so real quick for the people, because a lot of people ain't got time to sit and read these books. You have some people that are true book readers, but do you have anything to tell people, like if they don't have time to read these books, how they can still get this information?
Absolutely. So throughout my journey, I found an app. It's called Headaway, and what it does is it takes full books and you're able to condense them within 15 to 20 minutes. So you can read a whole book in 20 minutes. So I was able, excuse me, I was able to read, 2, 3 books a day with this app.
Not gonna lie, that's a gem, y'all, because I definitely have, I'm on that app and I'm not a big book reader, but I will listen to an audiobook, and I have listened to multiple books in one day because of that app. So y'all definitely check that out. Okay, so to wrap this up, now we talked about different levels of your richness, okay? You said you doubled your income. Why do you think you were able to double your income from this pain?
Well, I kind of want to backtrack because I don't think people realize what it is like to go through a divorce. You hear people say stuff like get over it. It was days where I woke up and literally couldn't get out of bed because I was so depressed, just in pain, devastated. Days that I would be on my way to work driving, and then sometimes I had to pull over to kind of get myself together. You go in places and you have different triggers. A song might come on. I was in a bagel shop. A song came on, and it was my wedding song.
Wow. That, how that make you feel?
It is crazy because it's like you try to delete these things from your mind and just like avoid it.
There ain't
But
no avoiding that.
yeah,
It's gonna pop up.
yeah. So I would say to people, it's like there is no time. You can think you good for a whole year and then something triggers you.
So how long has it been since your divorce now?
So now it's actually it's 2 years. May made 2 years.
Okay, so a little over 2 years. And how do you feel? Where do you feel your mental space is now?
I feel like I'm getting refocused on what needs to get done. I'm in a positive state. I'm not bitter. I don't want to be in that place. I want to live a fulfilled life, and that's why I continue to go to therapy because I wanted to get rid of all the toxic things that I had from my childhood, from my past, and move forward.
So basically, what you telling everybody is you're a 3% man. Yes or no? You're a 3%
I
man.
definitely would say a 3% man, and when it comes to understanding women, definitely, and
You
and
want to elaborate?
a lot of guys, they think they know women. Yeah, I got game, but it's really the information that I have learned is really something that you have to read in a sense. It's like studying for a test. You know what I mean? Like people study everything else. So why wouldn't I, as a man, want to understand what makes women tick? Why they think the way they think? Why they do the things they do? Because that gives me an edge and that gives me a better understanding. And how
It
can I say
definitely
it?
does put you in
Yeah,
a
just put me in
different
a
level of
yeah,
men. It
yeah,
does.
yeah.
I could see that versus a guy, like you said, is
You
studying
just
for a
know how to
test.
you just know how to deal with situations better. You know what I
Like
mean?
you the teacher's pet versus the guy that get like 50s. You busting out hundreds on the test, 90s. So to wrap it up, is there anything that you would just want to say to close this out and to motivate someone who is going through what you're going through, or if someone wants to get married too soon and what you think that is?
So I'm gonna answer the timing first. So I think for men especially, I don't think that men should get married before 30. That's my personal opinion. Some may define the odds, but I think as a man, you should really work on yourself and to become the best version of yourself for yourself so that when it's time to be in a relationship or get married, you can have a sustainable, long, fulfilling relationship. So I think definitely for men, wait, until you get to that point. As far as things that I've learned and what I think couples should do, there's quite a few things. I think that number one, men and women should make a conscious effort to study the opposite sex. To have a better understanding what makes
That's
men
good.
tick, what makes women tick,
That's
right?
good.
Like, because I think it's a misunderstanding, and that's why we got this clash of women and men.
Yep.
I think the other thing is that you should plan with your partner. You should always plan with your partner because if you don't plan, then you go in opposite directions. I think
That's so
everyone
true.
should go to counseling because even though you may have known a person for 10, 20 years, there's things that in their or their childhood past that they may have not healed or they may have not healed from past relationships. So you don't want those things to spill over into your relationship. What else?
Those some good ones right
Yeah,
there. I ain't
yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah. I think
That was good. That makes a lot of sense. Like I'm just receiving it and the planning. Oh my gosh, having something to look forward to with your partner, that's big. Therapy together, that's intimate.
yeah. I think
Like
other thing is don't listen to respond. Listen to listen to understand. You know,
absolutely.
and you're gonna have to do in relationships. I think there's gonna have to be a lot of forgiving. No one's perfect. Everybody makes bad decisions, and I think that's part of the journey here is to go through life, learn, and ascend to the next level.
Okay. So I'm gonna end it on this note with my question. I'm on I'm gonna put you on the spot with this one. I'm gonna put you on the spot with this one. Would you say if you ever got married again, would you say that you wouldn't cheat?
Absolutely, I wouldn't cheat. I wouldn't cheat because the pain that the divorce caused, that was a life lesson. So I think if you want to deal with multiple women, just be single because you're giving those women the option to deal with you, and it goes vice versa. You giving those men an option to deal with you. It's just like if you go get surgery, they give you a disclaimer. They say, hey, X, Y, and Z can happen if you get this surgery, right? And it's your choice to decide whether or not you want to get that surgery. So I think everybody should be given an option whether or not they want to deal with a person based on how that person wants to move.
In other words, just be 100. Just be real.
Yeah,
Just be real about your intentions, what you want. Like, I don't think people understand how easy that is
it is.
and how effective that is. But okay, Real Talk Ben. So it was a pleasure doing this interview with you. Definitely drop some gems. Y'all
Appreciate it.
definitely go cop that app because reading those books and that information is big. But thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and as always, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at the top. Real Talk Ben. Peace.